Hey everyone, welcome back to Asterisk, your benefit buddy Asterisk. Today, we're diving into something incredibly serious and honestly, pretty unsettling. You've probably seen the footage by now: armed troops patrolling the streets of Los Angeles, military trucks rolling through downtown, and protests escalating into tense standoffs with the National Guard. This isn't a movie, it's real, and it's unfolding right in front of us. Which brings us to a question that is growing louder across the country. Is this the beginning of martial law in America? Now, I know that phrase asterisk martial law asterisk sounds dramatic, maybe even extreme. But here's the part most people haven't fully grasped yet. Even though martial law hasn't been officially declared, many of the warning signs we typically associate with it are already showing up. We're talking armed soldiers in our cities, emergency orders being issued, and local officials being overridden by the federal government. So if you're sitting there wondering whether this is still democracy as usual, or if something has fundamentally shifted, you not alone. And here on Asterisk, your benefit buddy Asterisk, we break things down so everyday Americans can understand exactly what's happening and why it matters. Let's start with the facts. President Trump recently deployed over 2,000 National Guard members and 700 active duty Marines into Los Angeles. That's a major military presence. The move followed a series of protests sparked by federal immigration raids protests that turned chaotic in some areas, with reports of looting and clashes with police. Trump has called the unrest a rebellion and says local leaders, including Governor Cuomo and Mayor Karen Bass, failed to maintain order. According to the White House, federal troops had to step in or LA would have been, in Trump's words, obliterated. But here's where things get really complicated. California's leaders didn't request this intervention. In fact, they explicitly told the federal government not to send troops. Governor Cuomo is now suing the administration, claiming this is a dangerous overreach. The mayor says this move is intended to provoke chaos, not resolve it. So now we've got state and federal leaders openly battling over who has in control land that is raising huge legal and constitutional questions. Under normal law, the National Guard answers to state governors. But there's a section of federal law, Title 10, Section 12,406, that allows the president to federalize the Guard during times of invasion, rebellion, or when the law can't be enforced through usual channels. That's the legal basis the Trump administration is using. But here's the catch. Legal experts argue that even this law assumes cooperation with the state, and with Governor Cuomo firmly opposed, there's a growing debate about whether this deployment is even legal. Which brings us back to that word, asterisk martial law asterisk. It hasn't been declared on paper. The Insurrection Act hasn't been formally invoked. But if you're a resident of LA and you see military checkpoints, witness arrests, hear helicopters overhead, and get ordered around by armed soldiers, does it matter what it's technically called? Because the experience sure feels like martial law to a lot of people on the ground. And that feeling, that gut-level reaction, is worth paying attention to. Let's step back for a second. The last time federal troops were deployed without a state's permission was during the Civil Rights Movement in 1965. President Lyndon B. Johnson sent troops to Alabama to protect Black Americans' right to vote. That intervention was about upholding constitutional rights. Today's situation, it's about enforcing immigration policy, and that's a major shift in purpose and philosophy. This situation also fits into a wider pattern that many legal scholars, historians, and even some conservative voices are warning us about: a push to centralize power in the federal government, especially in the hands of the executive branch. The Posse Comitatus Act, which is supposed to limit the use of federal troops for domestic policing, is suddenly looking a lot more flexible than we thought, and that should concern all of us. Former Labor Secretary Robert Reich outlined what he calls a 5-step path to martial law. Step 1, declare an emergency. Step 2, bring in federal forces. Step 3, start mass arrests. Step 4, expand detention centers. Step 5, declare martial law officially. According to Reich, we're already at Step 4. Let that sink in. There's also this document making the rounds called Asterisk Project 2025 Asterisk, published by the Heritage Foundation, a major conservative think tank. It lays out a plan for restructuring the federal government to give future presidents more direct control over agencies. Alone, that doesn't prove anything. But when you look at what's happening in LA through the lens of that plan, it adds a whole new layer of concern. So what does this mean for people like you and me? If you believe in local control, where your community leaders are the ones making decisions about your streets, your safety, and your rights, then what's happening right now is a very big deal. The federal government came in uninvited and took charge. Even if the courts eventually strike it down, the precedent has already been set. The impact is real and it's immediate. Now some folks might ask, well, what if the protests really were out of control? Isn't public safety important? Absolutely. No one wants to see violence, looting, or chaos. But here's the problem: once you normalize this level of federal military involvement, it becomes easier to justify again next time, and then the next time after that. That's how democratic norms erode, not with one big announcement, but with small changes people get used to. And public opinion plays a huge role in this. If Americans accept this deployment as reasonable or necessary, then elected officials are more likely to do it again in the future. It's a dangerous cycle, because once powers like this are exercised, they're rarely rolled back. History shows us that emergency powers have a way of sticking around long after the emergency ends. There's also the human side of this, what it means emotionally for the people of LA, especially immigrant communities, young activists, and ordinary folks trying to peacefully protest or just live their lives. When your city feels more like a war zone, with Marines on the sidewalks and surveillance overhead, it changes everything about how safe or free you feel. So where do we go from here? Honestly, it's unclear. The legal battles are just getting started. Public pressure is mounting. But at Asterisk Your Benefit Buddy Asterisk, we think the real question is even deeper than court decisions. It's about the kind of country we want to live in. Are we okay with military troops enforcing domestic policy, especially when local leaders explicitly say no? Or is this the moment when Americans of all backgrounds come together and say, asterisk, this crosses the line, asterisk? The Constitution doesn't just exist in dusty textbooks or framed displays. It lives in how we act and what we allow. Right now, the line between safety and control, between leadership and overreach, is getting blurrier by the day. And whether or not this situation is technically martial law might not even be the most important question anymore. If it looks like it, feels like it, and acts like it, maybe that's the warning we need to take seriously. Thanks for sticking with me through this critical discussion. These aren't easy topics, but here on Asterisk Your Benefit Buddy Asterisk, we believe they're too important to ignore. If this video helped clarify things or got you thinking in a new way, let me know in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts. What do asterisk you asterisk think defines the line between safety and government overreach? And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future updates on stories that matter to your rights, your community, and your future. Take care of yourselves, stay alert, and I'll see you next time.